It all feels like it happened in another world, a parallel universe, a different time. Sami Zayn's road to the NXT Championship was arguably the developmental brand's greatest ever triumph. An organic story focused on the company's best babyface. A man who scratched and clawed his way to the top against all odds. WWE is always short of beloved babyfaces, but Sami Zayn was a sure thing. But that was 2014 and this is 2020, and boy do we know it. Sami is now essentially a manager who looked his way into an IC title run, which was then stripped from him for staying at home during a global crisis. Ooh, you're a bad guy. Surgeries have definitely taken the toll, but one of WWE's best ever babyface performers is now rotting away as a largely non-wrestling heel. A rather fantastic Twitter thread recently shined a glaring light on Zayn's diminishing in-ring repertoire. The thread, compiled by Myth Gifts Wrestling, showcases a number of moves that seem to have disappeared from Zayn's arsenal in recent times. Why have they disappeared? Are the shoulder surgeries limiting his moveset? Or is WWE Creative simply doing what WWE Creative does? Unfortunately, it is rather impossible to tell, but boy oh boy does the world's largest pro wrestling company miss the in-ring magic of one of its best wrestlers. I'm Gareth from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 wrestling moves Sami Zayn doesn't do anymore. Number 10, Brainbuster. Alright, let's start with a biggie. Throughout his time on the independent scene, El Generico was fond of finishing off his opponents by lifting them up for a standard suplex and then dropping them slap bang on their heads. His Brainbuster was used in a variety of different scenarios, including on the hardest part of the ring, which is the side apron in case you missed it. Most notably though, Generico was known for performing the move whilst his rival was on the top rope, leading to their head being crushed into the very top turnbuckle. This particular variation of the move was known as the Brainbuster! Don't do that. It's quite obvious why WWE weren't particularly comfortable with Zayn bringing the risky move into the company, and that's probably why we haven't seen it performed by him that often since becoming a WWE star. However, he did pull it out for his modern classic with Kevin Owens at Battleground in 2016. So there you go and watch that. Number 9, Double Pump Handle Orange Crush. While most of the moves on this list are, let's say it, much missed, there was always something indie-rific about the Double Pump Handle Orange Crush. I mean, even the name just sounds indie-rific. It was already on the way out by the time Zayn arrived in WWE, but the move's few outings in NXT didn't get it over to the point of it being, well, necessary. It starts out as an overly jazzed up powerbomb, further proof that good pump handle moves are few and far between. But the jazzing continues as the poor sod that must take the move goes through yet another rotation into a standard orange crush. This is not what Kenta Kobashi had in mind when he invented the orange crush. Zayn has long since abandoned the move, an overly complex attack that was last seen sort of being hit on Tyler Breeze back in 2014. Number 8, Rolling Arm Drag. From completely unnecessary complexity to beauty in simplicity, Sami Zayn has one of the finest arm drags in the game. A wrestling 101 maneuver imbued with grace and elegance. A move seen thousands and thousands of times before, but never really like this. The whole thing was often accentuated with a spinning go-behind. Another way to confuse and perplex a bewildered opponent. Wrestling history is littered with great arm drags, but few can match Zayn when it comes to style and poise. Sadly, Zayn hasn't used his gorgeous rolling arm drag since February 2018, and it was becoming an increasingly rare beast even then. Zayn turned heel in late 2017, and the move was as good as put away from that very moment, last being seen in a match against great rival Kevin Owens on an episode of SmackDown. Number 7, Barricade Moonsault. Not seen since it flattened Randy Orton in October 2017, Sami Zayn's Barricade Moonsault is proof that a wrestler's moveset need not be diminished by moving from NXT to the main roster. In fact, this move was made possible by the circumstances of the main roster, which meant performing in arenas with wider barricades. Up there for thinking. Where the hell's my hair gone? This allowed Zayn to jump on the barricade and springboard off with a picture-perfect moonsault, and oh boy was it picture-perfect. Analyzing professional wrestling is a beautiful thing, something that the WWE really doesn't do enough. Zayn's Barricade Moonsault is equal parts desperation and confidence. The act of countering a dangerous move with something even more outlandish, reversing simplicity with technique. It also happens to engage with the crowd on a real incredible show sort of level, as those lucky enough to get a front row seat come thrillingly close to sharing that vantage point with Zayn, only for the elite athlete to thrust himself back in the direction of his opponent. It is a move that is guaranteed to elicit excitement and cheers. That is almost certainly why Zayn no longer performs this move. Number 6, Tornado DDT. The DDT is one of pro wrestling's great moves. It just is. Grab your opponent by the head, drop them on said head, and that's it. It makes absolute sense as a killer move, what with the whole being dropped on the head thing. Jake Roberts claims that it was created by accident, making it the Newton's apple of professional wrestling. Modern times call for modern measures, however, and many smaller wrestlers have chosen to imbue the move with a bit of 21st century sparkle by throwing in a spot of rope walking and a pirouette. Sami Zayn was one such competitor, and once again he managed to perform it with the utmost style and elegance. He would begin the sequence with a slap to the chest that rang around the arena, clasping fingers with his opponent before embarking on a merry dance up the ropes, a picture of elegant motion that soon came crashing to the ground. Magical poetry, if you ask me. Number 5, Arabian Press. Another beautiful move that involves a moonsault, go figure. The Arabian Press was one of Zayn's signature moves during his initial run on the main roster. It was yet another way to rouse the crowd, to get the people on his side by putting his body on the line in a display of thrilling athleticism. It was a move that utilized the ropes, the ringside area, and the body. That is 3, guys. High-flying moves can be all for show, but Sami Zayn is a thinking man's wrestler at all times. Well, that is, was a thinking man's wrestler, as the Arabian Press is long, long gone. There is a showmanship to the move, an expressionist streak that fits in well with a babyface persona and an exciting moveset. But Zayn is no longer a good guy, and he no longer has an exciting moveset. So the Arabian Press and its fake-out version are no longer any use to the former Intercontinental Champion. It isn't out of the question that some of these moves may return in the future, but don't expect to see Sami Zayn pull off an Arabian Press anytime soon. Number 4, Con Hilo. Everyone in WWE does a dive of some sort. I'm not even in WWE and I dive out of my bed in the morning. Okay, that might be a bit of over-exaggerating on my part. Not everyone does a dive, but the overwhelming majority of WWE's roster has a weapon in their arsenal that involves throwing themselves over the top rope, through the ropes, or under the ropes. This, more so than most things, is the bane of professional wrestling made for television. If modern WWE was a drinking game, let's say, this is probably the down your drink moment. Sami Zayn used to have one such move, a gorgeous taupe Con Hilo, or as I would probably put it, a dive without hands. After drawing the crowd into a shared feeling of expectation and tension, Zayn throws himself over the top rope onto his opponent, a high-risk move in the most literal sense. It hasn't been seen since the Raw after WrestleMania 34, when Zayn and Kevin Owens did battle for a spot on the Raw roster. He seems to like doing his moves for the last time against Kevin Owens. Zayn's career has been a bit muted since that period, and the taupe Con Hilo is all but lost to history. Number 3, Koji Clutch. In truth, it isn't that difficult to make a good argument for the disappearance of the majority of these missing moves. Sami Zayn has been a heel for nearly 3 years, and what good is a heel that performs moves designed to wow and amaze the audience, eh? Heaven forbid people start cheering him, especially after he's worked so hard to turn them against him. It's just rude. Where is the psychology in Zayn putting his body on the line when he could simply just resort to punches and kicks? However, none of this applies to the Koji Clutch. Invented by Koji Kanemoto, this submission is a seriously vicious maneuver. Zayn utilized the move often in NXT, wrapping his leg around the mush of his opponent while hooking his hands behind their head, simultaneously pulling back with his arms and pushing forward with his leg. Just is not nice. The result is an anaconda-like grip and an inevitable passing out, which I won't reenact because I might knock over my mic. Zayn used the move to win a number of matches in NXT, but it hasn't been seen in quite a long time. A horrible, suffocating submission is exactly the sort of thing that fits in with a heelish character. So it is difficult to make an argument for this being left in the locker, but there it is. Number 2, Suicide Dive Tornado DDT. One of the all-time great moves, this was one of Sami Zayn's signatures before he made it to the WWE. Before Zayn made his debut on NXT TV, fans quietly hoped that he was going to be able to bring the Suicide Dive Tornado DDT with him. Oh boy, and he did. The wrestling world was overjoyed, and it was a treat to see this incredible move on television. After whipping the crowd into a frenzy, Zayn would throw himself through the corner ropes, catching his unsuspecting opponent and driving their head into the mat with a tornado DDT. A completely unique, beautiful thing of wonder, I think you'll agree. Sadly though, the move became rarer and rarer as Zayn's injuries started to pile up, and it hasn't been seen at all since February 2018, when Kevin Owens, who else, felt the brunt of it on an episode of SmackDown. When Zayn eventually does turn face, fingers crossed, this will be the move that gets the biggest of all pops. Number 1, Blue Thunder Bomb. In the Twitter thread that we've referred to a lot here, Myth Gifts Wrestling makes an extremely salient point. Nobody believes in anything as strongly as Sami Zayn believes in the Blue Thunder Bomb. This twirling powerbomb has been top of most should-be-a finishing move lists for years, but it rarely brought Zayn victory. Not that he actually let onto this though, and his face was always a picture of excitement and expectation after he planted opponents with the move. This was all true even up to his return from injury in April 2019, when Zayn challenged Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship. That feels like a lifetime ago. All of Sami's flashy moves had been stripped away, but the Blue Thunder Bomb remained. He hit Balor with the move, and the look on his face was as convinced as ever. Of course, Balor kicked out, but there was hope in this lost star. That hope is now gone. The move was last seen on SmackDown in the summer of 2019 in a tag match with Kevin Owens against The New Day. It isn't out of the question that the Blue Thunder Bomb will return sooner rather than later, but such hope is dependent on Zayn regaining the confidence and belief that has been sucked out of his character over the past few years. Sami Zayn? Professional wrestling misses you, man. And that's our list. Know of any other moves that Sami Zayn doesn't do anymore? Let us know all about them in the comment section right down there, and do not forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button. Also, be sure to head on over to whatculture.com and click on some more awesome articles just like the one this video is based on. I have been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Thank you very much for watching today and enjoying my lovely curtains and bald head as always, and I'm sure I'll see you very, very soon.